There is an uncanny feel to this week as we are prodded to question our acceptance of AI in our own lives and in art. Indeed, question our own memories. If that sounds too philosophical for you, don't worry, it can be as little or as much as you like. Here's this week's lineup: music, AI, and poetry. There's a surge in artificially generated music, ghost tracks, and an AI generated artist with a multi-million-dollar deal. In the curated cuts section, FT's dramatic short challenges our memories and AI. Visa has a foray into humor. Cartoon slow motion stories from the animation scene where there seems to be an industry slowdown, moves in Asia, and the looming spectre of AI again. Made for YouTube, some takes on the announcement from YouTube's big event. Music, AI, and poetry. Music streaming service Deezer receives over 30,000 fully AI generated tracks every day. That's more than 28% of their total daily delivery. In January, Deezer reported that roughly 10% of all content delivered to the platform was AI generated. This number increased to 18% in April and has now reached a record breaking 28%. AI generated music has fast become a very real thing on streaming services, and increasingly something that is more believable. You might recall Velvet Underground from a few months ago. Many challenge that the likes of Spotify and Apple are just not doing enough in words or in action. Liz Pelly, a music journalist, said, "I think a lot of streaming companies or AI companies are not counting on people just stumbling across this kind of material and thinking it's great. They are counting more on people not noticing it in the background in an algorithmic playlist recommendation or something like that. They are trying to game the system." End quote. From an artist's point of view, and I dare say a fan's, this overlaps also with ghost artists. What are ghost artists? These are intentionally generic tracks uploaded under fake names, some even commissioned by streamers themselves. For example, Spotify's program Perfect Fit Content commissions music generic enough to be plonked unnoticed into genre based and functional playlists. Think focus, study music, jazz, ambient, electronic. Spotify or any streamer with similar licensing agreements owns this music, and so it doesn't have to pay royalties on them. Ghost artists also come from humans looking to game the system, of course. AI generated music will only make it easier to play this scale game. A linked piece does a good job of looking at this. It is about Liz Pelly's book called Mood Machine: The Rise of Spotify and the Cost of the Perfect Playlist. Deezer, on their part, likes to draw the distinction very clearly. A quote from their recent news release: "Deezer remains the only streaming provider to tag 100% AI generated content and exclude it from recommendations, championing fairness and transparency in the music industry." End quote. Zania, meanwhile, a music artist, in quotes, music artist, made with generative AI, has reportedly signed a $3 million deal with a label. Zania Monet is an R&B artist or avatar created by Talisha Jones, who's a Mississippi poet and runs a design studio. She has made Monet's tracks with her own lyrics, plus generative AI service Suno. Suno, you might recall, has made many waves since 2024 for the realistic music they are able to generate, and also for the copyright infringement they have all but clearly been involved in. She, or the AI, has a digital audience already of about 465,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Her song "How Was I Supposed to Know" reached the top slot on R&B digital song sales. The AI's catalog has garnered 9.8 million on-demand official US streams, said Billboard. How was I supposed to know what love looked like when daddy never showed me what felt right? My take: I find it easy to recoil from AI generated music because I have always found the art form highly resonant. I feel deeply when a song or track connects with me, and as with much art, I acknowledge the artist's efforts or journey that shaped the track. Something generated from a machine that has learned to spew out notes cleverly seems instinctively hollow. Now, while the resistance and backlash to AI music is not small by any standards, it is worth pausing to consider that clearly there are execs out there willing to plonk cash down for such deals. Romel Murphy manages Talisha Jones and he claims, "This is real music, it's real R&B. There's an artist behind it." End quote. Elsewhere, the artist Kehlani has railed against it, bemoaning, in quotes, "There is an AI R&B artist who just signed a multi-million-dollar deal and has a top 5 R&B album, and the person is doing none of the work. In the creative arts in which people have worked hard for, trained for, slept on the floor for, got injuries for, worked for their entire lives, I'm sorry, I don't respect it." Moving on to our curated cut section.
It hasn't made it up, it's assessed the probability.
Recall Me Maybe. The Financial Times original content team has had some interesting forays into content. It is a tricky balance for them to find content that makes sense in their relatively niche space, while at the same time meeting the standards that premium digital content from brands has grown to have. Their latest attempts to tackle the thorny perspectives around AI, and they choose to do it via a scripted short film. The inimitable Stephen Fry, together with Gemma Whelan, are a father daughter duo in a film written by David Badiel, which explores AI, memory, and truth. It's a gentle but not entirely comfortable collision of dementia, remembering, acceptance, and truth.
I want to be rebuilt.
It doesn't just recreate his old memories, it also improves his working memory. It's amazing.
Recall Me maybe uses human remembrance as a vehicle, both practical and emotional, to question our instinctive responses to memories as well as technology's place in shaping them. It challenges us to pause and consider our values and how much they underpin our alliances with generative AI and LLMs. Cypher. Some fresh work from the studio Holographic in a branding with a full suite of assets. This is their work for Cypher, which is, quotes, a culture-first venture studio reshaping how fans connect with sports, music, and entertainment. Unquote. It's a project including an identity system, website, assets, and templates. Quite striking. Visa decides to laugh. Visa has had some fun with their new spot that extends their promise of being available everywhere. They worked with Ryan Reynolds' team at Maximum Effort in a spot that takes a stab at the ill-fated Fire Festival. Remember that one? Everywhere you want to be and some places you really don't. That line does set the stage for them to have more fun with the brand creatively. I have to agree with this from their CMO Frank Cooper. Historically, humor has not played a central role in our brand. I think the view has been that financial services and payments have always been very serious categories. But in a world where we are battling for attention, the hardest part is having stopping power. And humor is a great angle in. End quote. Made for YouTube. The YouTube event had a slew of new tools and options for creators and advertisers. The most buzz seems to be the ability to insert ads into videos dynamically and hence retrospectively. Yes, like TV. This can bring all sorts of positives for YouTubers and notably also podcasters who are used to monetizing in this way on their audio-only platforms. There's also now the ability to collab with other creators, auto dubbing, A/B testing, and updates to their live platform. Jim Louderback's comprehensive analysis, which I've linked to, has the recurrent themes of diversifying, not building on rented land, advice to not bet your business on YouTube alone, and the big red squeezing creators in the long run while boxing out adjacent startups. As he says, for creators, that means convenience in the short run, but also less choice, fewer independent tools, and deeper dependency on YouTube's roadmap. And with their AI push, YouTube is signaling it wants to dictate the future of creation, even in the teeth of a powerful backlash. Elsewhere, Seth Silver has some key takeaways for podcasters, which I have linked to. Slow-mo animation? Some bits today around the animation space that are, more by chance than design, connected. Momentum and slowdowns might be usual in many industries, but global forces and AI dominate the potential ways forward for animation. Audrey Schomer has a new report out for Luminate, looking at the state of animation plus the place of AI in it. The headline, Animation is in Turmoil. It's a paid report, but some key takeaways include kids' live TV viewing has crashed from 24% to just 4% since 2017. The streaming production boom has ended. Series orders are in sharp decline. Adult animation and anime still seem to be surging despite an overall contraction. Producers have shifted focus to test running children's IP on YouTube before investing in full series. Apple's stumble to abandon streaming animation is another highlight, and a piece in Hollywood Reporter looks at it in some detail, saying the service has seemingly all but abandoned cartoons. AI, of course, AI. 55% of the industry expects a major impact on animators in the next 2 years. The use of generative AI within the animation industry remains divisive. Proponents view it as revolutionary, with the ability to accelerate production and reduce costs. Critics and artists might view it as dirty technology, with concerns around legal, creative, and ethical implications. Nearly half of Gen AI users surveyed admitted they'd look to mimic the work of specific creators or studios. Think Studio Ghibli. Concept artists, who often do the visionary design before production, clearly view this as an existential threat. Much remains open ended. Will animation continue to be craft driven or move towards the good enough approaches sitting atop efficiency? AI animation feature film becomes a reality. Circa early 24, I watched Critters at a small AI showcase in Singapore. All characters were generated using DALL-E. Then a team of animators created an entertaining short from it, shaped by Chad Nelson and Nick Cleveroff. Now, OpenAI is putting muscle behind it to make the Critters feature film to hit theaters in 2026. There's no cash, but OpenAI is providing all the Gen AI firepower for it to come to life. Screen Rant has a look at Asian animation films doing well at the global box office, though it admits being hard pressed to really call this a trend yet. It touches on outlier Nizar 2, King of Kings, Jumbo, and the latest Demon Slayer, which has, after the article came out, incredibly crossed $500 million globally. A shout out. I also published some eclectic storytelling on Coffee and Conversations. Last week, I was sucked into Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here by their 50th anniversary stunt, and an unlikely dalliance between photography and knitting. Do have a read. I'd like to end with a quote from David Lynch, courtesy one of the YouTube commenters on the Financial Times piece on memory and AI. Lynch said, "I like to remember things my own way. How I remembered them, not necessarily the way they happened." If you enjoyed that, please do share the color bar with those you think might like it. And I'd love to hear from you if you have feedback, recommendations, ideas, or want to collaborate. I work with individuals, brands, and teams on creativity and creative execution. Till next time, keep it colorful.